We're kicking off today with SmackDown as the excitement didn't stop after this week's episode from Bologna, Italy went off the air. On YouTube, WWE shared a video from after SmackDown which saw the brawl between Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins that closed out the show continue. Though the brawl seemed to be over after Roman Reigns was led back up the entranceway, Rollins and Punk started fighting again in the front row of the crowd. Security was eventually able to separate the pair, with Rollins leaving through the entranceway while CM Punk exited the show through the crowd. A triple threat match between the three has been made official for WrestleMania 41, and having all three men was a huge way for SmackDown in Bologna, Italy to go off the air. Fightful Select adds that the consensus backstage is that while Italy wasn't as hot as other crowds, WWE was happy with the turnout for the show. Next week, SmackDown will see WWE head to London, England with a US title match and a WWE Tag Team title match confirmed for the O2 Arena. This European tour is once again proving that the continent has some of the loudest crowds in the world, even if those in Bologna didn't quite deliver as much as WWE had hoped. We have some sad news to report now as Artest, an indie wrestler, has died after collapsing at an Extreme Valley wrestling event. After collapsing, Artest was taken to the hospital where he passed away. A statement from XVW shared to Facebook reads, "It is with great sadness that I have the duty to inform fans of XVW that after collapsing tonight at XVW and being rushed to the hospital, artist Artest has passed away. We wish to send our condolences to his family, friends, and fans. Our staff worked tirelessly to keep him alive until the medics arrived. We will pause activities in remembrance of the life of Artest. Rest in peace, champ." Artest had been working hard to make a name for himself on the independent circuit and had been training under TNA talents including Ace Austin, Jake Crist, and Sami Callihan. Though he never reached the mainstream like TNA or WWE, his impact on the independent scene was felt, with many seeing him as someone with a lot of potential. Incidents like these serve as a grim reminder of the physicality of wrestling and the risks that those who perform put themselves under, all in the name of entertaining the fans. From sold-out arenas to local gyms, wrestlers put their bodies on the line every night, and for artist Artest, his journey in wrestling came to an end far too soon. This is a sad time, and our thoughts are with his loved ones and the XVW community at this sad time. Sami Zayn has been off of WWE TV since the beating he took at Elimination Chamber Toronto, and this week Zayn refuted a claim about his hiatus. When Fightful reported that Zayn had allegedly asked for time off following the brutal match with Kevin Owens, Zayn fired back saying the report was 100% faux. With this report debunked, it remains to be seen what role Sami plays on the road to WrestleMania 41, as fans eagerly await the return of the former Intercontinental Champion. Now, Lex Luger will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame next month, and given his friendship with Sting, it's easy to see why Luger has requested the Icon to be the one to induct him. The obvious obstacle here is that Sting remains under contract with AEW, and on the 83 Weeks podcast, Eric Bischoff discussed reports that WWE is pursuing the Stinger. He said, "That'll put the ball in Tony Khan's court. Falls into the stupid category for me. It's just silliness. It's not Triple H, it's not Nick Khan, it's not Ari Emanuel, it's Lex Luger. That's his privilege. It should be. It's important to him." Bischoff also addressed the possibility that AEW may refuse Luger's request just to get back at WWE for past slights. He said, "If Tony believes, like Dave Meltzer suggests, well, you wouldn't do it for me, so I'm not going to do it for you. If you're going to take that kind of infant attitude to your business, then you're going to get what you're going to get. Now is the time that I would prove I'm bigger than them, because you're not doing it for WWE, you're doing it for Lex Luger, and that's what would make you the better man." In the end, it isn't about playing politics, but about fulfilling the request of someone who sacrificed for the wrestling business, and we'll have to see if Sting is part of the ceremony. Do you think AEW should allow for Sting to induct Lex at the WWE Hall of Fame, or would Tony Khan be right to block WWE using one of his bigger stars? Let us know down below. In 2019, Stephanie McMahon told the Sports Business Journal that WWE tried to book storylines a year in advance, a bold claim that one of the company's former writers simply isn't buying. While speaking on the brand, Vince Russo claimed that McMahon is lying with her claim and that he found the notion of WWE booking this far ahead to be ridiculous. He said, "I'll never forget a couple of years ago, Stephanie McMahon actually made the claim that the WWE books things 1 year in advance. And bro, I had to laugh out loud because if we're seeing booking that has been planned for the last year, then everybody should be fired. So let's just call Stephanie McMahon a liar when it comes to that, because either we call her a liar and say that's absolutely positively not true, or they have booked a year of absolute shit." Russo gave Cody Rhodes' reign as undisputed WWE champion as an example, claiming if this is a sign of booking a year in advance, WWE has made some mistakes. So Stephanie, are you going to tell me that this shitty year of booking for Cody Rhodes as the champion, this was all planned a year ago? A year ago you planned we're going to give Cody a year of title defenses? Because that's what it's been. So if what you're saying is true, then people really need to be fired. If this past year the Cody Rhodes title defenses were planned a year in advance, none of those people have any business whatsoever working in the wrestling business because it's been horrible. It's been a horrible run for Cody Rhodes. Back in 2019, McMahon's exact comment was that we try to have a basic plan a year out, but acknowledge that things happen and sometimes storylines have to change. Russo hasn't worked for WWE as a writer in decades, and while much will have changed since his tenure, he isn't buying what McMahon had to say. Live event news now, as Charlotte Flair won at last night's event in Belfast, Northern Ireland, where she got the win over Piper Niven. On Twitter, Flair reflected on the win, noting that it was her first live event since before her injury in December 2023, and shared that it felt so good to be back. There were both wooing and booing from the Belfast crowd, as Flair continues to get big reactions from crowds, both at TV and at live events. After leaving AEW in 2024, Mark Henry would appear for WWE in the crowd not long after, and now fans can expect to see much more of the world's strongest man. At an event, Henry shared that he has now signed a nostalgia contract with WWE, meaning fans can experience more appearances, figures, and other merch from the Hall of Famer. Now, Jim Cornette is often a polarizing figure in wrestling, but during his heyday, he proved to be a very talented manager and commentator, as well as having behind-the-scenes roles. While speaking on the latest episode of What Happened When podcast, Tony Schiavone was asked about Cornette and said him not being in the WWE Hall of Fame is silly. Cornette was with WWE from 1993 to the 2000s and would work with OVW in the later years, where he'd helped train the likes of Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and John Cena. With that said, he often disagreed with WWE's approach to things, especially a shift to family-oriented content, and this often led to heated clashes with Vince McMahon. Cornette's most recent WWE role was in 2017 when he inducted the Rock and Roll Express into the Hall of Fame, and will Jim Cornette himself receive the honor one day? Only time will tell. At WrestleMania 39, Edge defeated the Demon King Finn Balor inside a brutal Hell in a Cell match, but it turns out that this was not what WWE originally had planned. Fightful Select reports that Balor was initially scheduled to win before Vince McMahon changed things, despite Edge himself pushing for Balor to beat him. Fightful notes that they weren't sure that the talent knew of the original plans, as such information usually gets shared with them the day of the show. This news comes after speculation McMahon changed the Roman Reigns vs. Cody Rhodes match, which would see Reigns get the win, though talk of a change was never confirmed. 2 years later, and with Edge now in another company, it's far too late for Balor to get his win back, even with McMahon's control over the booking now well and truly a thing of the past. If you follow the career of Davey Boy Smith Jr., you'll know that he's been out of action since January of this year, and now the former WWE Tag Team Champion has explained why. On the Café de Renee podcast, Smith shared that he's developed cataracts in his eyes and chalked it up to the past 20 years of using tanning beds. Smith admitted to not using proper eye protection while tanning, saying that he was concerned about potential tan lines, and said that he's been using old beds in Japan with lousy bulbs. Sharing how it's affected his life, Smith revealed that the cataracts left him unable to do basic tasks like drive or watch YouTube, and he's had to zoom in heavily just to order from Uber Eats. It's cost Smith around $14,000 to get surgery, and he said he hopes people learn from him and realize that cataracts and losing your vision are not risks worth taking. Now, with his vision restored, Smith is motivated on making a return to the ring, and we're wishing him all the best after this scary ordeal. And we're ending with Pete Dunne, who made a return to OTT wrestling this week, but the Bruiserweight brought a WWE flair to the event. For his entrance, Dunne came out alongside Trent Seven and Sammy D, and the trio hit the iconic Triple H water spit, a nod to the WWE COO. Dunne may be a big name in wrestling, but he hasn't forgotten his time on the independents, making for an epic surprise return in Ireland this week.